Good evening, everybody. My name is Brad Shoemaker. I did my report this week on master wilderness photographer Rodney Lode Jr. So, Rodney's background I thought was a pretty interesting one. He's a self taught photographer who went to Brigham Young University and studied statistics and mathematics and worked in the corporate world. But after doing some hiking and doing a little bit of soul searching, he really came to the decision that this is what he needed to do with his life, and he switched what he was doing to pursue this. He's been recognized by the United Nations. His works are in the U.S. Smithsonian Museum of Natural History, and he's published a couple books. But he makes a full-time living on nature photography with without almost any animal or people subjects. His equipment is a little bit different than what a lot of us are using. He shoots with a large format camera, roughly equated to a 350 megapixel camera, so that he can print incredibly large pictures. A lot of what he sells is wall length 6+ feet in its long direction. So interesting equipment. His camera package can weigh up to about 45 pounds. The three images that I looked at for him, the first one was called Worldly Wonder. This is one of his Smithsonian pictures, and it's from a place that I don't think a lot of us would know, which is Black Rock Desert. And it brings out the awe of nature in an area that if you were to run it through Google or something, you would just see a lot of, sand and slightly overexposed photographs from bright sunlight. But it really brings out the detail of places that aren't as valued as some of our other national parks or public lands. The second picture I did is a personal favorite of mine. It's titled Majestic. It's from Yosemite National Park, and I really liked the detail in this picture of the size of the trees, which are very small in the bottom of the frame, and a lot of the cool tones and kind of underexposed granite mountains that are in there contrasted against the snow, and then the entire bottom of that picture contrasted against the very warm tones of those clouds and the sunlight at the top. It's very asymmetric, and it's quite interesting. This is a personal favorite of mine. The third picture that I did is entitled Panther Grotto, and it was taken on Gifford-Pinchot National Forest in Washington. I really thought that it's actually a pretty simple image of just kind of a little multi-line waterfall, but it's smoothed out really well with a 1/2 second exposure. And to me, it really talks about the detail between, water quality and the health of a forest and an ecosystem and how it all works together. I know a lot of Rodney's exposures are geared towards talking about nature and wilderness and the value of continuing to have that around and not, developing everything. We don't talk about it a whole lot, but those high alpine areas, they produce a lot of our water, especially in the western United States, which is what feeds and powers many of our cities. My personal style focuses on capturing healthy ecosystems and the importance that they provide to the public, including water, recreational opportunities, healthy ecosystems, air, and just general other environmental services. My profession that I've been in for over a decade now is forestry, and I'm really interested. There's a historical view of forestry that, we're just the guys that go in and log and kind of decimate the forest. And really, in today's world, we are the stewards of the forest very much. Don't get me wrong, there are certainly some folks that do more traditional forestry that you would think of, but most of my work is in, threatened and endangered species habitat management, restoration, and making sure that the environment is healthy and providing environmental services that we depend on, everything from recreation to clean water. In conclusion, I'm really excited that, his big focus is on environmental stewardship. He gets recognition and makes a living at that. That kind of lines up with what I do in my life, which is my forestry profession. And I really want to use the opportunity that I get to take pictures that emphasize the conservation aspect of forestry, kind of like I talked about earlier, and shed that image from the early 1900s that we're just the folks who kind of go in and basically take an extractive view of forests. That's really not where forestry is these days. His photography is amazing in itself, just the fact that he really doesn't do a lot of photo editing or manipulation, so he really needs to wait for the right set of weather and environmental conditions to produce what are really some incredible colors that he waits for in his photographs to create a huge amount of vibrance and contrast in these landscapes. It's something that most people don't get to see even if they visit a lot of national parks. The references that I used here are included. It's mostly off of his website and then one Wikipedia article. But that's it for me. Thanks for listening. Everyone have a good week.